Jane Velez Mitchell with Unchained TV. Welcome to this virtual news conference to attempt to stop the Yulin Dog Meat Festival that is about to start. We know that In Defense of Animals, along with a coalition of other groups, is urging the mayor of Paterson, New Jersey, to use his relationship as a sister city. Paterson is reportedly, according to numerous news reports, a sister city of Yulin, China. IDA, In Defense of Animals, and these other organizations are urging the mayor of Paterson, New Jersey, to use that relationship to plead, to implore, to demand that Yulin immediately stop the dog meat festival that is starting even as we speak. Straight out to Fleur Doros of In Defense of Animals to bring us up to date on this campaign. Fleur?
Hi, Jane. Thank you so much for having us on Unchained TV today. So In Defense of Animals has been working to end the dog meat trade for over 20 years. We've saved hundreds of dogs like Judy here. She's actually from Korea. She was born on a dog meat farm, but in Yulin, what's happening today is something entirely different. We actually have people's companion animals being stolen off of the streets and then sent on trucks into Yulin, where a dog meat festival is happening. It's a commercial dog meat festival. People are traveling from all over the world to come and eat dogs at this festival. So lots of people don't know that it's not actually very common to eat dogs in China, but the Yulin Dog Meat Festival has really been putting it back on the map. We have joined forces with wonderful people at Yoga Stops Yulin and Jeffrey Mausner, a former attorney, a federal prosecutor with the Department of Justice, to bring attention to the fact that Paterson, New Jersey is actually a sister city to Yulin. So we have a fresh tool that we use to try and put pressure on Yulin. The officials there don't actually really want to include the dog meat trade. There's a lot of mafia connections going on. As I mentioned before, the stealing of people's animals that are then, put into these torturous positions and eventually eaten. We're supporting Chinese activists on the ground to help save animals, to protect the animals who have already been saved from previous dog meat festivals. But this is really ramping up. So we're trying to engage people from all over the world, both in Paterson, New Jersey. If you live there, you can make a big difference. Please reach out to the mayor or reach out to us at info@idausa.org. And we can put you in touch with the mayor of Paterson. Everyone on this call right now has signed a letter to the mayor of Paterson, and we are urging them to do something very similar to what's happened in Los Angeles, pass a resolution against the dog meat trade. That is Mayor Andriy Sayag there, and we really need him to pass a resolution and make a statement and use that connection with Yulin to put a stop to the dog meat trade.
And you are looking at a photo of the mayor of Paterson, New Jersey, Mayor Andriy Sayag. And I know that IDA has been attempting to reach the office of the mayor of Paterson for several days now. There has been a holiday. So in their defense, many people were out of the office during this time. But we invite the mayor on at any time. We would love to dialogue with him or anyone from his staff, and any news media watching or anybody from the public. Feel free to use the Facebook comment section to ask your questions. And so we are really trying to shine a light on this. Sheena Gao has actually been to the Yulin Dog Meat Festival. She has rescued dogs from the Yulin Dog Meat Festival. Let's show a short clip of her, and then we're going to talk to her live.
This is Sheena reporting for World Animal News, 世界动物新闻. On June 19th, 2017, one of the largest trucks contains over 1,000 dogs bound to Yulin Dog Meat Festival was stopped by Chinese volunteers, made it the largest one-time rescue in history. June 19th is what we call 619. We're here at the clinic. We have 70 intensive care dogs coming from the truck. We have also 400 dogs that's healthy that still needs care because they have the skin conditions, torn from the transportations. It's really rough condition. The funding is definitely tight because everyone here are volunteers, spending their time here, spending all their effort to come here, taking hours of rides just to get here to help the dogs. This is truly amazing, courageous for the young generation of China. Here I have Peggy. She is one of the volunteers, started from the day one, June 19th, for the stopping of the truck. She's here to help the dogs, spending so much time from Hong Kong transporting back and forth to help saving the dogs.
I've been here since day one, Rescue 619. It just breaks my heart to see these dogs being transferred from location to location. I think like a 5-6 location journey. And these dogs are hurt, injured. A lot of them are very sick. We have 60 or 70 here now that need special care.
So, Sheena, tell us what the Yulin Festival is like, and also the fact that the majority of people in China do not eat dogs. It's an outlier activity, and that a lot of people in China are working to stop this as well. Sheena.
Yes, there's a lot of petitions in China. Every year, people are signing and they ask to stop Yulin. But the issue is most people don't even know dog meat and Yulin is still existing. Just like me, when I come to US and I have no clue. Someone said, "Did you know China's still eating dog meat?" I saw a video. I said, "No, that's not possible. I grew up, 20-some years, never seen dog meat, never heard of dog meat." And I thought it was outlawed. But it wasn't true until I went on the Google, finding all the images. I was appalled. I got involved in, I think it was 2015, another activist, Sky Valencia, invited me to do a protest at Chinese embassy, which I did. And I started to learn more and more about the Yulin Dog Meat Festival. And 1 year, I think it was 2018, I was called to go to Yulin to spend some time with all the rescues, which is the 1,000 dog rescue. I didn't go to the meat market because it was blocked by any foreigners or potential reporters. So we end up all in the rescue group area. There's 1,000 dogs who were there housed in various locations. I visited different locations, tried to help the sick ones, the injured ones, to find a clinic who will take them, and we're finding other facilities, and the rescue groups will come to the rescue center to pick up the dogs. So we have like each places will come to 250 dogs. Remaining with 250 dogs, I was able to visiting them and try to find the facilities that will take them. It was 1,000 dogs, was a huge undertaking, try to housing all these dogs. So it was challenging.
Yes, these are some of the images you took. That is a truck filled with dogs headed to the Yulin Festival. Look, I don't want to traumatize people. I'm going to show one quick photo that gives you an idea, and that's it. And I'm warning you right now, it's not pleasant. Look at this. Look at this. I mean, what are we as a society? This is unbelievable. I want to go to Jeffrey Mausner, who is an animal welfare advocate who has researched this heavily. My understanding is I'm seeing numerous published reports that say that China has banned dog meat, that has essentially declared that dogs and cats are pets, not an agricultural product. If so, why is this still happening, Jeffrey?
Hello, Jane. Thank you. In May 2020, the Chinese Ministry of Agriculture released the latest version of what is called the Directory of Genetic Resources of Livestock and Poultry. Dogs and cats are not now included on that list for animals that can be bred, raised, traded, or transported for commercial purposes, meaning that the commercial dog meat trade is technically no longer legal in China. I'm not a Chinese lawyer, but my understanding of this is that the authorities in Yulin, the mayor, the police chief, and other officials could shut down the festival and confiscate all the dogs. They have the authority to do so under this directive. They just have to have the courage and compassion to do so. That's why we're calling on the city of Patterson, the sister city in the United States of Yulin, to call on the mayor of Yulin to shut down the dog meat festival.
So that is really kind of shocking that it is now illegal, but it's still happening and it's no secret. I mean, I want to go to Reiko, who is with another organization. Tell us about your organization and what you've done to rescue so many of these animals.
I am the organizer of Los Angeles version of the Yoga Stops Healing, which is initiated by Jade. We had an event about 2 weeks ago in Malibu, where we brought the awareness to those who are completely unaware, as Sheena said, even not just in the United States, but throughout the world, people are still unaware or intentionally unaware of what is going on in Yulin, China, or throughout Southeast Asia. What we have done is to had an event with vendors and in Rafi Lounge in Malibu, where it is a celebrity wellness center where everybody wants to go anyway because it's so beautiful, and we just wanted to get people in there and to bring awareness of what is going on, because in this world, a lot of people will say, okay, so, just like in the States or throughout the world, people eat livestock like cows, pigs, chickens, people in Southeast Asia eat dogs. That's why there's festivals like Yulin Dog Meat Festivals. But the thing is, those dogs and cats are transported to Yulin Dog Meat Festival for days on end without food, without water, in sheer just despair. And the torture and abuse that they are afflicted is just unimaginable. It is the most horrific way of them killing those sentient beings. And we just have to end this madness. And I believe that, as a business owner and a person who also works for corporations, I believe that, first thing that they will say is if the authority is going to take away our livelihood, and how am I going to support the family? What are we going to do? So my firm belief is that, we have to bring the alternate method for them to support their livelihood by Patterson, New Jersey, to assist them in bringing them to another alternative ways to make money and support their families and support themselves. China is a very subtropical country where they can grow a lot of myceliums, and myceliums are in huge demands throughout the world. And near New Jersey, there is a company called Ecovative Design, where they want to bring out their method to quickly and fast grow mushrooms. And then if they can assist them, those people to change their dog meat trade into like mushroom farming or something like that, I think that is the very innovative, faster way to transition for them to end this dog meat trade, because it's just, started in 2009 and it's not stopping for whatever the reasons.
Yes. People have been asking, when did this start? You're saying it only started in 2009, because as somebody said, it seems like a medieval practice that should have ended should never have begun, but should have ended centuries ago. And, reading up on this, the people who do, these are rescue dogs. These are dogs, by the way, you're looking at images and video of dogs who have been rescued from the dog meat trade in China. And you can see that, they're dogs, they're companion animals, very much like your companion animal at home. There's nothing different about these dogs, and some of them are stolen pets. So it truly is horrifying. I will say that in reading about this, some of the defenders have said, well, you in America and in the Western world, you torture pigs, chickens, turkeys, goats, and lambs. And it's true. Factory farming, these are recent images from just a recent different factory farming investigations.
Yes.
So if the video of what you're seeing with the dogs upsets you and you're horrified by it, please also be horrified by what is happening to pigs and chickens and turkeys in American and Western society factory farms, because it is also industrialized torture. And these are just images that we've selected randomly from stories we've done recently. So yeah, that doesn't condone what's happening in Yulin, but I think it's super important to point out that we can't point a finger at another culture without looking in the mirror and finding out what are we doing to systematically torture and kill animals unnecessarily. So I want to go, if you're just joining us, we're having a virtual news conference to announce a coalition of groups, including In Defense of Animals and Yoga Stops Yulin, and other organizations, calling on the mayor of Paterson, New Jersey, to use his influence as a sister city of Yulin, China, to implore, beg, demand Yulin, China immediately stop the Yulin Dog Meat Festival, which is getting underway as we speak right now in Yulin, China. And we've learned that it is illegal because the Chinese Agriculture Ministry has declared that dogs and cats are pets, not agricultural products. Nonetheless, it is continuing, even though it's wide out in the open. I want to go to Doreen Frega. You are in New Jersey, so you are with a New Jersey animal protection organization. Have you been able to reach the mayor's office? We've been trying, In Defense of Animals, been trying for approximately 3 days so far without success.
I have not been successful. I even sent a few emails. I left a few messages. We are opposed to this. We represent 88,500 New Jersey residents, and we're a nonprofit organization, and we're out there fighting for all animals. We try to affect policy changes. We work with government officials. We're out there educating the public. Every weekend we do a lot of outreach. And so this is really appalling to us. And we are calling on the mayor to pass a resolution to stop this now. And this should not be happening. This is so cruel and barbaric.
And we invite the mayor of Paterson, New Jersey, Andre Sayegh, on anytime. It has been a holiday weekend, so we've been unable to reach the mayor's office. In Defense of Animals has been trying and will continue to try. And I want to go to one of the other major organizers of this event, and that is Jade Ara. Jade, you've been working tirelessly on this as part of Yulin, Yoga Stops Yulin. Tell us about your efforts.
Thank you so much, Jane, for having us on your show and discussing this issue. As you probably know, the one who started the Stop Yulin podcast, which is to this day the first and only podcast on the topic of the dog-cat meat trade. I learned a lot. I've interviewed many people, leaders of nonprofits. I've interviewed Dr. Peter J. Lee, and my last final 2 podcasts were on his book, Animal Welfare in China. And it was an important book to read, and I invite everyone at home to maybe get a copy because it's very informative. And my questions from the get-go on my podcast was, why is this happening? Because it's clearly not to feed people who are starving. It's not a question of poverty. The people consuming dog meat are not the poor people. The people that are poor involved in this trade are the ones, stealing dogs for money. And so this is why we're, imploring the mayor of Paterson, New Jersey, to use and leverage his sister city agreement with Yulin, China, to try to find better ways of, finding employment for this group of citizens in China who are engaged in many criminal activities, not just stealing dogs. They're engaged in other things as well. And the criminal activity in Yulin has gone up in recent years, and it's because people have very little resources. So why is this still happening? That was always my question. And Dr. Lee helped explain it this way. It's not illegal, okay? So it was a directive that came out of the China's Ministry of Agriculture on May 2020 at the height of the pandemic. And it was just to say that, yes, dogs and cats are now considered companion animals. There was no law done. So technically it's not illegal. They have enforced some policies where the dogs have to be quarantined for X amount of days to prevent pandemics, but this is still not a law. The laws came about when Shenzhen and Zhuhai both banned the dog cat meat trade for both consumption and sale.
And those are cities nearby?
Yeah, so those are cities, they're cosmopolitan cities, or big cities. So there was never a big dog cat meat trade market in those cities, but still, what the Ministry of Agriculture of China did is effectively give a blessing to any city in China to ban this dog cat meat trade. And that's amazing. And they did not have to come out with that directive. And so we do see it as a very, very positive. Now, Yoga Stops Yulin, why I started this is it's kind of an offshoot of my podcast. I'm trying to find ways to engage a whole new slew of people to take part and support this cause, because yoga, I'm a yogi. I've been practicing yoga for 18 years. Yoga being the practice of peace and compassion. I felt very strongly that if people that practice yoga would be made aware of this issue, they would want to support the Chinese rescuers that are, risking everything to save these dogs, to make change happen. And so we need a whole new group of people to support this. It's going to take all of us. It's a big problem, and it's not going to end overnight. And so what we want is the mayor of Paterson, New Jersey, to engage the Yulin government to find better ways of employing these people that have no resources, no education, that give way to criminal activities to make a living. There has to be a better way. And this atrocity that is Yulin Dog Meat Festival has to end. It has to end. We're in 2023. It's been going on for too long. It's a modern day practice. As Sheena and many of our guests today have mentioned, it's not a medieval time festival. It really came about, as Dr. Lee pointed out in his book, it's the result of the post-Mao era, where China went through economic reform, and they decriminalized privatization of businesses so that each citizen could earn a living, could be profitable, could be entrepreneurial, and contribute to the GDP. And this is the CCP's main core goal, is to grow their economy to become the super economy of the world. And so anything that takes away from that goal and ambition, they're not going to participate in. This is why they still have not affected animal welfare laws, because that costs money, budget, resources, and they feel this is not necessary because in their mind, this cat meat trade is on its way out. It's dying. It's upheld by older generation, and for them, it's not worth putting in money and resources.
Speaking of money, Fleur Dawes of In Defense of Animals, First of all, there's been something like 11 million signatures denouncing this. There's another petition that you have that is linked to this broadcast, urging the end of this horrific festival. But what about, speaking of money, tourism dollars? I mean, somebody commented there should be a boycott of travel to China until this ends. Have you considered that?
Absolutely. Boycotts can be a very effective tool. It's something that we're not necessarily calling for at this time. As you know, a lot of this is taking place in a much wider context, politically speaking. So what we really want to do is encourage collaboration with the Chinese people who are rescuing dogs, who are saving dogs, who have already saved dogs. We actually need people to make inroads, and as a famous Chinese proverb is, we want to build a bridge. We don't want to build a wall. So that's the most important thing, is to collaborate. Animal activists, we're the same everywhere in the world, whether we're in the United Kingdom, whether we're in the United States, whether we're in China. We have people around the world who have joined together to stop Yulin. As you mentioned, over 11 million people have actually signed a petition, which has been delivered to the Chinese embassies around the world. And many celebrities have spoken up about this. Prominent celebrities, I think Lisa Vanderpump is one of the most prominent celebrities. This has been taken to Washington. This has been enacted at local level. It's been enacted at national level. I mean, this is a global movement now, all focused on one city in Yulin. And incredibly, it's still going. It's a real shock that it's survived the pandemic. I think a lot of us were very hopeful that it might just die a death after the pandemic. But unfortunately, as you mentioned, this is a global issue. So as much as we are collaborating internationally to stop the dog meat trade, there is also international demand for dog meat. So now what we're seeing is Asian tourists who are going into Yulin specifically to take part in the Dog Meat Festival. So it's hugely disappointing, but we must remember that the dog meat trade is not just happening in China, it's happening across Asia, in countries like South Korea, in countries like Indonesia, in the Philippines, in China as well. So we must act to tackle all of the dog meat eating, and ultimately to tackle the speciesism that underlies it all. As you said, we live in a glass house. Most of us were raised eating animals, animals who have the same capacity to love, to enjoy life, to dream, to have their own desires, to have their own families. And we are doing exactly the same thing here as what is happening in Yulin to these animals. So really, compassion starts with us, with every single person here deciding to make a difference, not to choose violence and to choose compassion instead. And that starts from compassion on our plates right through to compassion with our Chinese activists who are working tirelessly to stop the dog meat trade in the most horrendous conditions, putting themselves in extreme danger with these dog meat traders who are, they're literally holding knives with the animals who they've brutalized on trucks. So there are actually plenty of ways. If to start with, you can sign our alerts. We've got a new alert if you go to idausa.org/stop Yulin, or it's right there on our homepage. You can contact the mayor of Paterson if you happen to live in Paterson. If you know anyone who lives in New Jersey, please tell them, because we need as many Paterson residents to get involved and to contact their legislators. It makes a big difference. There's many organizations in defense of animals, Yoga Stops Yulin, and Animal Protection League of New Jersey. We've all written in, but we really do need Paterson residents. So if you know anyone in New Jersey, please tag them, tell them about this this important new campaign, which can really make a difference. And lastly, what you can do is actually adopt dog meat rescues. So my dog is a survivor from the dog meat trade in South Korea. You can go onto our website, idausa.org, and go to our dog meat section. You can learn all about how to adopt a dog. Yoga Stops Yulin, Animal Health and Wellness are also very much in contact with they have a lot of dogs who are waiting for homes, who have survived Yulin. And imagine the conversations you can spark when you take that dog to the dog park and you tell them about how important it is to be compassionate to our animal friends.
Yes, and here are just some images of dogs who have been rescued. And again, many people working very hard within China to do these kinds of rescues. Let's check this out. So, Sheena Gao, you've been there to Yulin, China. That woman, Ms. Ha, has been working tirelessly to rescue these animals. Tell us about it.
Okay, Ms. Ha is actually located in Nanjing, China, my hometown. There were 5,000 dogs rescued by her on local streets, which is targeted by the meat vendors to take them to any of the slaughterhouses. And she also stopped one truck with hundreds of dogs bound to Yulin. So she's now over 7,000 dogs in her rescue sanctuary, because those dogs are not adoptable for the most part, even though China doesn't have a culture adopt. They like to buy designer dogs, purebreds. And when they don't like it anymore, sometimes they're discarding them. That's why you have a lot of strays. Even in Shanghai, when I was there, I encountered 2 or 3 stray dogs, like looks like just abandoned. And this is the thing, then she rescued them, and she partners with local police, which is really a great partnership. Police would donate money. So every time there's a stray in the neighborhood, they will contact Ms. Ha's Ping An Ah Fu Rescue, and they will go get the dog. Then they will housing them in the police station for a period of time. If they're sick, they will housing them in the downtown area. They have a facility that house the dog that can be adopted. Then they go to the police. Then if they cannot adopt, they will ship them to a nearby, about a 1.5 hour in the mountainside. There's a sanctuary built for about like thousands of dogs and thousands of cats rescued. And the funding is of course tight to constantly rescue. Any dogs abandoned on the street, even pets, has the risk of being stolen by the meat vendors. I want to point out many times the thief get beaten up, but those thieves are poor peasants, usually in the farm, and they just want to make a quick buck. And really the mafias, Yulin, that will control all these channels to send all these poor young men to go steal other people's dogs. So this is a mafias at work. I think the way to stop it, the idea, I just read about Patterson and the Yulin signed sistership contract. They try to encourage economic technology and tourism between the 2 cities. So if that's the case, Patterson can definitely help. I know Yulin has been trying to get tourism going, but they just have not had a chance at all. No one ever goes there to visit. Now it's become infamous for Yulin. So they figured probably we got a lot of Southeast Asians or Asian other country like to eat dog meat, or at least to come to our city to eat the dog meat. But infamous then nothing, right? So I think we need to work with the Patterson as mayor, Andre, to see what we can help them to build a great tourism business and also technology, economic business, because that's what they agreed upon. So what we can do to help build Yulin, not for dog meat, but for great city as it is.
I also feel that this is an issue of spay neuter, because if these animals, we even here in Los Angeles, we have a stray animal crisis. I just took in a dog who somebody tried to abandon at the shelter, and the shelter turned them away and said that we're full, and that's my new dog. And it all boils down to too many animals.
Very true.
And so what can we do to encourage spay neuter? And maybe I'll put this to Reiko. Is there any way that we can get a spay neuter program? Or people have been talking about it for years, a birth control pill for dogs. I've heard it as a rumor, as a urban myth that this exists, that maybe it's 2 pills. They're trying to get it to 1 pill, but I've never really seen any evidence of it.
Well, as I'm from Japan, and I don't know exactly how the law works in China, but that is really a good point. Just like United States, we are there are just overwhelming amount of animals that needs home. And if spay and neutering program can be enforced in China, that would be amazing. But just like, just right now, just like Sheena said, I know a little bit about mafias and, organized criminals because I'm from Tokyo, Japan. And those, I really, really believe that, those are the kingpins of the dog meat trade. And they're the one kind of like, ivory and rhino horns. The people who makes the most money are those kingpins, ones on the top. And those poor people who are running around to do the dirty job for those mobs are the one who need another alternative jobs to support their families and, loved ones. This is where I really believe that Patterson, New Jersey can come in to be the sponsor, and they can even grant, bring grants to those people. Just doing, alternate thing, kind of like I always talk about the mushrooms or hemp, and then they can educate them. Education is very important. Educate them to how to industrialize themselves. And, what's in it for New Jersey? Because, the mayor, the maybe reason why he's not here today is because they go, maybe he's thinking, what's in it for me?
Well, look, we don't want to make any assumptions about what the mayor is thinking or not thinking. It's a holiday weekend. We attempted to reach their office. We were unsuccessful. For all we know, they're just off. People take a day off. We don't want to. And we invite the mayor on anytime. I mean, he's not the one doing anything to animals, but we are just trying to take advantage of this situation, this sister city relationship. Let me go back to. I just want to go back to Doreen, because you're there on the ground in New Jersey. I mean, what can be done to make this happen? Can you walk to the mayor's office? Can you put some letters there? Can you do a rally outside? What can you do?
Thank you, Jane. Well, when we have other campaigns, we do petitioning. We'll do a protest. We send out alerts to our members. I mean, those are all things that we could do to have people continue to put pressure on the mayor, to send in letters, to call, to email. And that has worked with a lot of our campaigns in the past. So we can continue to try to do something to that effect to reach the mayor and the council members. We've also had residents attend mayor and council meetings and bring, whatever topic was important to the animals up. And that's another thing that could be done if we can find residents willing to do that, because residents hold the power and they can reach the mayor and the council, and that will make them take notice.
Yeah. So is your understanding that they are aware of this?
I'm not sure because I was not successful in trying to reach someone. It was a holiday weekend. So I don't know where they actually stand. I will continue to reach out to try to get some information. So I'm not going to stop just because I haven't heard back from them.
Well, you know, the majority of comments on social media right now can be summarized by this one from Amira St. John's: boycott everything from China and other participating countries, not just travel. Don't spend your money on anything from these places. Easier said than done, because so much is made in China. You know, I would say there should be numerous different strategies. Fleur, in defense of animals, has a petition drive. You're asking the mayor of Paterson, New Jersey, to use his relationship as a sister city with Yulin to take action to implore them. What else can be done to stop this next year? Because tragically, it's already underway right now. Dogs are being consumed in Yulin. And the last thing I want to ask, and maybe I'll toss this to Jade first, is that apparently there is this horrible belief that somehow these animals taste better if they're tortured first?
Yes, well, as we saw from the slew of images that hit the internet many years ago, dogs are routinely boiled alive, tortured, you know, dismembered, blowtorched alive during the festival. And Dr. Lee was quick to say that the routine protocol to slaughter these dogs is not that. You know, obviously it's a business and they want to churn as many dogs as possible in the quickest amount of time. So this is not, you know, the standard protocol to slaughter dogs. But at the Yulin Festival, I was puzzled as to why they went out of their way to torture these dogs. And there is this kind of mythical belief that the more adrenaline runs through the dog's bloodstream prior to death, the more medicinal the meat will be, the better tasting it will be. And these are all myths, you know, like obviously the unsubstantiated claims, and they're peddled. These claims are peddled by the dog meat traders and butchers that have nothing else to sell but dog meat. And they want people to consume dog meat, not other types of meats. Why? So they give them, you know, virtuous properties, and people believe it. And I have many friends in China. I've built a lot of contacts in China, and they tell me Chinese are the most superstitious people in the world.
Well, let me just say something, not to scold everybody when they're talking, but we don't want to generalize about people or cultures. We have to look in the mirror here in the United States. We globally, as a global species, the human species raises systematically through industrialized animal agriculture, tortures and kills 80 billion animals every year, 80 billion. So I think that, you know, we really want to stay away from generalizing about any cultures, respectfully, because we have our own work to do here in the United States and in the Western world. And if you're really upset by these images, which upset me, I was traumatized just uploading them and my two dogs on either side of me while I'm uploading these images. Please consider your choices and choose to take animals off your plate, because pigs are smarter than dogs. Not that that should count, but we are doing, these are recent photos, okay, of Western industrialized animal agriculture. What we are doing to chickens and pigs and cows is also morally reprehensible. So I want to say we've got some breaking news. In defense of animals, Lisa Levinson reached an administrator for the city council who sent IDA's news release to all Paterson council members. So that's good. That's a good sign. And yes, well, continue on, Jade, what you were saying. I didn't want to interrupt you, but I just had to make that point.
I'm not judging. I mean, the comments I made are factual. Yeah. You know, the dogs are boiled alive. But I do want to address these comments because I've actually talked about this on my podcast at length. I'm vegan. I became vegan way before there was the internet, 35 years ago. And it was from seeing cow slaughterhouse footage. So I'm placing no judgment. It's not about, you know, being anti-Asian. It's not about being anti-China. It's about being anti-cruelty. And China is the biggest consumer of pork. So my comment was always that they also torture pigs, cows, and chickens, but on top of it, they have this dog cat meat trade. And as I discussed with Dr. Peter J. Lee, he agrees that the first thing to do in animal welfare is to eliminate a category of animals that is considered domestic animals for most of the world, and that would be dogs and cats. And so we're not judging them for eating dogs. And as we mentioned earlier, the majority of Chinese don't eat dogs. You know, it's a fringe of the population, but it still gives way to large numbers. You know, 10 million dogs every year in China alone, 30 million across Southeast Asia. And those numbers are not, you know, like, they're probably understated quite a bit because there's a lot of backyard farms, there's a lot of backyard activity. There's no way, it's unregulated. So there's no way of knowing the exact numbers. But as a vegan, I do say, I take this cause to heart because I know that in my lifetime, we could eliminate this dog cat meat trade. And this would give way to better, you know, animal welfare laws for all other animals. And that's important to remember. China is the biggest consumer of pork. So it's not like they're eating dogs instead of cows, pigs, and chickens. Obviously they're not. And so this is on top of it, and it has to be eliminated. I mean, they are the second largest economy in the world, so it's high time that they have animal welfare laws. We need to put the pressure on and make change happen.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jade. So Sheena, correct me if I'm wrong, but you grew up in China. What is happening there with the animal welfare movement? Because you've shown us much video and images of people also rescuing dogs there.
Correct. When I was young, there are not a lot of pets in China. So as the economy growing fast into the second largest in the world, Chinese people started taking on pets, but they are for animals. So it became a trend. Like you own 1 year, I was in China, there were all the white Pekingese. It was super popular. Everyone has one. Then a few years ago back, all the little brown miniature poodles become popular. So all these white Pekingese, which is abandoned on the street, and then they start crossbreed because it's no neutering program. So crossbreeding, and China likes to demolishing buildings and build new ones. That's how they turn the city around. And every building being demolished, you can guarantee there were 200 or 300 dogs being abandoned in that facility, in that old building. People move away, leave their dogs. And during the Chinese New Year time, a lot of countryside workers come to the city to work. They will get a dog. When they go back home, again, they leave the dog in the street. So there are a lot of Chinese activists. I visited many in Beijing. Actually, Peter Lee gave me 5 different facilities to visit when I was in Beijing and in Nanjing as well. There are tons of people. And this one young man, his name is Du Te. He has his own facility to house all the rescue dogs. One of them actually started from a dog meat trade truck. And now he's pretty much put all his income every month to take care of these dogs. During the day he works, and there are volunteers to take care of these dogs. Then at night, he would just hit the streets, bring food to feed the cats, and neuter. They actually neuter cats and release them at night. So he has his hands full constantly. There are a lot of young people in China take that opportunity to try to stop animal cruelty. So change is coming. Slow, but it's coming for sure.
All right. Well, it's been a very fascinating conversation. Let's get some final thoughts. Thank you all for participating. Fleur, let's start with you. I mean, what's next for this campaign and what should people do?
Well, that would be telling, Jane. This is we're really excited by this new partnership with Animal Protection Legion of New Jersey and also with Yoga Stops Yulin, Animal Hope and Wellness Foundation. As we say, there's In Defense of Animals has been working for over 20 years. We're one of the first organizations working to stop the dog meat trade. In Korea, we've rehomed hundreds of dogs. We're going to continue, of course, rehoming hundreds of dogs from South Korea. And I think you can see some very exciting things coming up with us to support more Chinese activists. The contacts that all of the people on this call here today have been talking about, those activists who you've seen in the videos. You can likely see us supporting them a lot more. So I would say if you go to the IDA homepage, idausa.org, if you right on the homepage there, you can sign our alert to stop Yulin. You could make a donation to support the dog, an end to all of the dog meat trade and all of our work, including with people like Jindo Love Rescue in South Korea. You can get your vegan starter guide, which I highly recommend. It's extremely popular, full of lovely recipes. And you will see a lot more from us going on. So I would say, yeah, please get yourself on our mailing list, because you've got a lot of things coming up now with us working in collaboration with Chinese activists. So please go there, and you'll get involved in legislative initiatives, you'll get involved in practical initiatives, celebrity initiatives. There's the world is our vegan oyster. So yes, please get involved.
Correct idausa.org.
idausa.org.
All right. Well, thank you for, I feel very privileged and honored to be with this group and fighting for this very just cause. Jeffrey, what is your thought on this?
Okay. I want to emphasize that you don't have to be vegan or vegetarian to support banning dog meat. A lot of the people who have supported this are not vegan or vegetarian. Dogs are different. Los Angeles, our city, has really taken a lead in opposing dog meat. In 2019, first the neighborhood councils and then the city council passed resolutions opposing dog meat and supporting legislation or administrative action that would request the governments of China, South Korea, Vietnam, Cambodia, and Indonesia to ban the sale of dog meat and enforce their animal cruelty laws. And that was signed by the mayor. So it is the official position of the city of Los Angeles to oppose the dog meat trade and ask these countries to stop it. And remember, Los Angeles is the largest commercial trading partner of most of these countries. We can use this to help convince these countries to stop. And we're asking Paterson, New Jersey, to do the same, to lend their support, asking their sister city of Yulin to stop. And again, you don't have to be vegan or vegetarian. You know, these are dogs, our best friends. So thank you, Jane, for moderating this.
Yes, and well, I will say you don't have to be, and we accept and embrace everybody wherever they are in the journey. This is also an opportunity to look in the mirror, and if that upsets you, seeing these images that are so upsetting, it's an opportunity to ask yourself, well, am I contributing to suffering? And to make a decision to not contribute to suffering. So it's an invitation to people to also look in the mirror. Reiko, give us your final thoughts. Thank you.
Sure, Jane, thank you so much for having us today. As a Yoga Stops Yulin organizer in Los Angeles, I partner with the Rafi Lounge, where we had the event that every one Saturday every month, we would like to introduce Yulin surviving dogs to be adopted here in Los Angeles. So that would be a plan in making. That is the way that we can spread awareness of the Yulin dogs, how they are domesticated animals who are getting, stolen from the streets and from people's homes. And that is what I want to do. And I am going to be doing that with Sheena. If she can join us, that'd be amazing. And, I need help from IDA and Jade and, wherever I can get a hold of Yulin surviving dogs. And also I want to conclude by saying we want to see there are a lot of countries who do not eat dogs and cats. What are the differences between, even like where I'm from, Japan, we became a very, very well-off countries, and then bubble broke and then things went down, but then we didn't abandon dogs and then didn't eat cats and dogs. So what is it that some places in the world decides to eat dogs and cats? I mean, we need to start educating and changing the mindsets of those people. And I think that if we really, really want to stop, rescuing is great, but banning and stopping the dog and cat meat trade has to be from education and industrialization. I believe so.
Thank you so much, Reiko. And I find that often these kinds of conversations spawn new ideas. And something that Jeffrey said really struck me, that Los Angeles, which is on the brink of becoming the fourth largest economy in the entire world, has a very strong economic relationship with China. I think that's something that could be explored, especially since Los Angeles has already issued a public declaration against dog meat. And I want to just go back to Fleur on that, because, I mean, along with Paterson, New Jersey, which is a much smaller city, Los Angeles is arguably one of two of the most important cities in the United States and one of the most important cities in the world. California is about to become the fourth largest economy. Why not do a campaign here?
Jane, I always love coming on to Unchained TV because you always bring such amazing ideas, and we have a lot of ideas and get a lot of our campaigning as a result of you hosting these discussions. So thank you for that. And you're speaking to an issue that's very dear to me. My English accent. I come from the United Kingdom, and the reason that I am working with In Defense of Animals, which is based out of California, is because of this exact thing you mentioned. California, and particularly Los Angeles, is a social thought leader globally. So around the world, everyone's looking at what happens in California. Everyone's looking at what happens in Los Angeles. So I think that's an incredibly powerful idea. So it's one of the largest economies in the world by itself. We really have an opportunity there with Jeffrey as well. Jeffrey is a counsellor and has a lot of political knowledge as well, and he's been really advising us on different political initiatives that we can take. So very excited by the potential of pursuing some of those legal options that we can use to exert our influence and help persuade China that maybe, just maybe, eating dogs isn't the right way to go in Yulin.
And one other thing that occurs to me, because California is a thought leader, Los Angeles, particularly because of all the celebrities, are there celebrities who are Chinese who could join this campaign? And maybe I could toss that out. Who would like to take that one? Does anybody have any thoughts on that? Jade, go for it.
Yes, and yes again. Yes, we need to, leverage all of this as much as we can. And I just want to put out there that Yoga Stops Yulin just started their campaign. It's running all summer long. And any yoga teachers out there want to join the campaign, please do reach out to me, Jade Ara. I'm on social media. You can reach out to my page, Yoga Stops Yulin, on Facebook, Instagram. You can go to the website. We need yoga teachers. We need as many yoga teachers as possible to spread the word, spread awareness, and hopefully get some donations to our 2 Chinese rescuers that are featured on the website. And we might not be able to change this overnight, but we can certainly help these Chinese rescuers, support them and what they're doing, because it's a lot of work.
Yes. And I mean, I was just reading about, one of our top diplomats going to China to have a meeting with top Chinese leaders. And so this is in the news right now. I've seen some major Chinese celebrities talk about animal rights via PETA. I think we might even have it streaming on Unchained TV. There are some famous Chinese athletes and others who are animal lovers. I would think if you got a campaign with some of those and Los Angeles, I think it's a combination of economic pressure and cultural, or let's put to what does China want their reputation to be, right? And we live in a celebrity culture, Sheena. We all know that, being in Los Angeles. If you have a celebrity attached to a campaign, the chance of it being more successful and getting media skyrockets. Your thoughts?
My thoughts is exactly. Actually, there were two major dog meat festivals. One of them got shut down is because of one of the celebrity, I believe it's from Hong Kong, and stand out and talked about dog meat trade, and that got shut down. But I don't know why Yulin is still there. I think in China, I know most of the people really respect Chinese, Asian celebrities. They're not as taken by American celebrity. So if we have opportunity to find a Chinese celebrity that's very powerful, have a very strong voice, that will be very helpful in shut down Yulin. And I want to mention boycotting is not necessarily effective because so many things, as Jane said, is made in China. And also, I think the best way to do is working and put pressure on local government. That's the best way to stop Yulin.
Excellent. And we're continuing our round robin of final thoughts. I forgot where we were. How about Doreen? Did you have your final thought? Go ahead.
I would just like to say that we can start bringing awareness to the residents of New Jersey at our outreach events that we do statewide. We're in many, many towns throughout New Jersey, educating residents on the bears, deer, geese, all wildlife, and we can also do this about the Yulin Dog Festival and the dog meat trade. And also continue to reach out to the mayor and the council members and try and reach Patterson residents so that they can also reach out to the mayor and possibly attend a mayor and council meeting to get the word out. Thank you.
All right. Excellent. And does anybody want another final thought, or if we hit everybody?
I have to say, I agree with Sheena on the boycotting. And this was, I had a podcast with Jill Robinson of Animals Asia, and that's the first thing she said. We do not support boycott campaigns because it hurts the innocent people in those countries and it takes away from them. And it's not successful. How can you boycott China? Everything has some kind of interaction with China. Everything we own in our house, like it would be virtually impossible. I understand boycotting tourism in Cambodia and those kind of countries where they really depend on tourism dollars, that could be a little bit more successful. But once again, you're penalizing the innocent citizens in those countries that depend on tourism to survive.
All right. Well, if anybody has any last words, speak now. But we are going to continue our comments, say, do this again. Lindsay Baker did an interview as well. We're going to stay on top of the story at Unchained TV because, oh my gosh, sometimes I'm embarrassed to be a human being. Looking at that footage of what they do to these dogs while my two dogs were on either side of me really traumatized me last night. I was speechless, and we can end this. We together, by brainstorming, by cooperating, by doing international campaigns with the leadership of In Defense of Animals, as well as Yoga Stops Yulin, Yoga Stops Yulin LA, Animal Hope and Wellness, and the New Jersey Animal Protection Organization that Doreen represents, Animal Protection League of New Jersey. Together, I believe we can stop Yulin. Let's make an intention right now, because in order to achieve something, you first have to set an intention that this will be the last Yulin Festival. It will never happen again. It's over.
Yes.
Let's make it happen. Thank you, everyone, for participating in this virtual news conference. And please download the Unchained TV app on your phone. It's free. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you.